Yeah, so here we are, Liverpool versus Arsenal, arguably the biggest game of the weekend. Both sets of fans looking forward to the game. I would think, this is the first time in a long time that Arsenal fans, including myself, obviously, feel a slight bit of optimism. Whether that optimism is worthy or whether it's just based on or driven by hope, only time will tell. But if we look at this game on a tactical level, I think that's where it starts to become really interesting, looking at the key additions that Arsenal have made, especially, and how they can affect the game compared to last year or previous years. Liverpool obviously are renowned since Klopp have come in. They're renowned for the high press, high intensity game, out of possession, trying to win the ball high up in the field in dangerous areas and put the opposition under real pressure, looking at forcing them to make a mistake. I think with key players, which I'll mention in a short while, that Arsenal have, I think this is an area we can really exploit. However, there are certain risk involved with this, and this is why I feel that this game can go either way. Either Arsenal are going to get slapped if these tactics don't come off, or if it does come off and players in key positions really perform, I can see Liverpool getting slapped. Some Liverpool fans might laugh at me, but hear me out. So with your high defense line, more so this season than what I've seen in previous seasons, I think there are definitely some frailties, and I think if we started at the back with Arsenal, I think David Luiz is going to be a very key player. David Luiz, as we all know, is very comfortable on the ball, but he does possess the ability and the threat to pick out a long ball, looking for our pacey front players who are very good at playing on the shoulder of the defense. If you look at the Burnley game, there were 2 or 3 moments where Luiz pinged the ball over the defense. And Aubameyang got onto the end of it. Obviously, it didn't result in a goal, but I mean, it was his first game, and 1 or 2 passes may have been a little bit long. But I definitely think with Alexander-Arnold, I think he's definitely in defence, probably your weakest link with him bombing forward. Yes, he's got the pace to get back and do his recovery runs, but I think if Aubameyang plays on the left, now if Arsenal go with the front 3 of Aubameyang on the left, with Lacazette up front and Pepe on the right, I think for me that could be a real deadly formation. Aubameyang playing on the wing of Alexander-Arnold, and Pepe on the right wing, forcing Robertson to really think about his defensive duties, because we know what a threat he has going forward. And Robertson, if he can be kept in his own half and really worried about Pepe's pace and trickery, I think that would be something to look at. So obviously we've spoken about Luiz and his threat. I don't see Arsenal changing the way that they want to play in terms of playing out from the back, looking for the short passes. I think this new rule in the Premiership of having defenders in the box and being allowed to receive the ball is definitely something that our manager is looking at trying to exploit. But I think another area which I haven't heard from people so far, as another threat, is Van Dijk. Van Dijk from corners and set pieces is an immense. He's arguably the biggest player on the pitch. He's a fantastic header of the ball. He's got a lot of power. I think his timing of his runs is great, and obviously Arnold putting in those crosses from the corners, or even a deeper attacking position, is a real threat. And what worries me is Leno not being the best at or especially in his last couple of games, he's not been the most confident in coming out of his box and being that authoritative figure and claiming or taking the ball out of the air and shoring up the defense. There were 1 or 2 moments against Burnley where he looked a little bit shaky. So I think David Luiz and Leno really need a good game. Obviously, what worries me is our wing backs. Whether Monreal or Kola starts, Monreal's lack of pace worries me, and Kola's lack of defensive duties, or at least the times at which he switches off does worry me, because you can't switch off against the likes of Salah, and then obviously we've got Ceballos. Now, when I speak about the ability that Luis has to look for the threat with the ball over the top, and I know that Arsenal's a way of playing is not looking for the long ball. It's intricate play, looking at short passes, trying to create space. But that is something which with the forward line that we have, something that we may use, especially away from home, if we decide to soak up a bit of pressure. That may be a tactic that Emery might look at exploiting, that long ball over the top. However, if that long ball is not on, I think finding Ceballos, right, and with a ball to his feet is going to be real key, because once Ceballos gets to that ball, if he can find himself beyond your pressing midfielders in space, he's going to be a real threat, because he has the ability to take on your last defensive midfielder. He has the ability to really spread the ball, look for really good through balls on the wings or up front, and with those front three, whether Pepe comes in, clicking with the other two straight off the bat, or if not, is going to be a real threat. I think, I don't know what Emery's thinking in terms of formation, whether he's going to start a back four or a back three with two wing backs. For me, I'm not going to make that call. I leave it down to the manager. What I would say, as I've said in previous videos, is that Luis's performances for Chelsea, when they did exceptionally well, his best performances came in a back three. So if that does happen, I obviously expect a back three, maybe of Chambers, Socrates, and Luis. Whether or not Monreal could slip in on the left side of that back three, with Kolasinac on the wing back, that's obviously another option. But yeah, real interesting game. I think again there is a slight bit of optimism, but I'm definitely not getting carried away. Liverpool are a serious threat, and me explaining these kind of tactical or key areas that I personally feel could either be a threat or weakness in our play, really will depend on individual performances. And looking back on the Arsenal players delivering on key and personal performances, it doesn't really give me that much hope. But you never know on the day. But Liverpool, Anfield is a terribly, tough place to go, and our players will have to really put in a big shift and a big performance. But I think I'm looking forward to the game. I wish everyone the best. Whether you're a Liverpool fan or an Arsenal fan, I mean, you'll be biting your nails. But I think what's going to be really key, putting everything aside, is Arsenal keeping a clean sheet within the first 20 to 25 minutes. If they can do that, they've got something to build on. That's something we've lacked in for many years, going into these big games away from home. I think if we can do that, then everything that I've mentioned before could really come into effect, and that could really sort of change the direction of this game. But nevertheless, looking forward to the game. I'm interested to see the starting lineup, whether, as mentioned, it's a back four or back three. I really want to see Ceballos. I want to see the three up front, Aubameyang, Lacazette, and Pepe up front. In midfield, I definitely want to see Willock. We need that energy. Whether or not Xhaka or Torreira or Kanduzi comes in, that's down to the manager. I don't know, but looking forward to the game. Hope you guys all enjoy it, and hopefully, from an Arsenal perspective, when I give you my post-match analysis, that it's all good from an Arsenal side. Cheers.